welcome to the Deuce Podcast. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jeremy.
Live from Ampersand Studios.
Well, we're recording it live. You're going to hear it delayed.
Hey, you know what? Semantics. No. It is episode 84 of the Deuce Podcast. We have started a new year, and with it comes a new topic of a couple movies that we got going on. We're doing kaiju movies, correct?
Yes, kaiju
movies, and we're starting with Godzilla Raids Again.
Yes,
which is kind of weird because this isn't really the same Godzilla from the first Godzilla movie, so I don't know why he raids again.
I think initially, I don't know, they just treat it like he's the same.
Yeah, see, I got you on that one. Huh?
Well, and it's interesting. Court Psyops, he from the Cinema Psyops podcast, he has a video that he sent one time that showed the different sizes of the different Godzillas, or the designs of them and stuff, and shows how much bigger they get.
Oh, really?
Because they've over the years have just made them bigger and more crazy, size wise and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. I'll have to see if I can post that to our page.
Now these are not movies that I watch. Like, you've known me,
right,
7 years, and so these are not movies that trip my trigger.
Right.
Like this and Westerns. But you know what? I gave Westerns a try, and I really kind of started digging Westerns, and I kind of I'm going to dig deeper in that, and we're going to see how I am with the kaiju movies.
Yes.
And this movie is what... No, I don't think it's the oldest movie we've done. When did it come out? 55?
It's the second oldest. It came out in 1955.
Okay, 55. 5 years after All About Eve. I'm just saying.
Well, the oldest one we did was the Wolfman versus Frankenstein.
Wolfman versus Frankenstein?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So, that's the oldest one we've done. This is the second oldest.
Do you have any information about this movie?
Yeah. So, Godzilla Raids Again basically came out in 1955. It was released by Toho. It was Toho's fourth...
Toho, aren't those the guys that sang that song, I bless the rains down in Africa?
Yes, that's them. You remember.
Yeah, just checking.
It was like their fourth highest film of the year, so it wasn't like their number one anything, but so when they started doing this in the U.S., or when they were bringing it to the U.S. to show, they of course messed with it a whole bunch, but the movie was called Gigantus the Fire Monster, and they wanted to call Godzilla Gigantus.
Gigantus.
Yes.
Like Gigantor, but Gigantus.
And nobody quite knows why. They were kind of, they think that they didn't want to confuse audiences with the fact that Godzilla had died in the first one. And then also, they wanted to make it a different property. And basically they were just kind of Americanizing it. But the dubbed American version... it actually it was the first gig of George Takei. He did a dub in there
of this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he did voice in the first one.
Do you like movies like this? I don't know if do you? I don't ever hear you talking about them.
I do, to a degree. I'm not so fanatical with them.
Right.
I enjoy them. I'm okay with them. Honestly, after the Roland Emmerich Godzilla one, I was a little oh no. But I love giant fighting robots and monster kind of thing. I had this game for PlayStation 2 called Robotic Alchemic Drive, or RAD, and it's just giant robots fighting.
It was an acronym named RAD.
Yeah.
It was called what?
Robotic Alchemic Drive.
Nerd.
And it was by Enix, which eventually got bought up by Square and became Square Enix. So there's no chance of getting
You're
sequels.
a Square Enix for knowing all that.
You're a Square Enix.
Ha!
So, but no, The movie came out. It got played in a lot of double features and things like that. And we even
it's not a long movie. This is not a long movie.
Hour and 20 minutes.
No,
it's a quick watch. I think that the thing that most people don't take time to understand is kind of like the story around it too.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with you.
Yeah, it's like they start doing more and more with like Godzilla having personality or like having kind of other story that goes along with it. This one is still like when they're treating Godzilla kind of like he's just a force of nature. Like seriously, it's basically treats it like movies where they're like, oh no, there's a hurricane coming in or there's a tornado, whatever it is. He just is a giant walking force of nature. But they do some interesting things where they start giving some personality and giving some other stuff with like he's got an aversion to light.
Yeah. Or I've heard more of the connection of Godzilla and like tsunamis and hurricanes more, and not really tornadoes.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being more in, like an Asian, kind of.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Typhoons.
Yeah, typhoons and stuff like that.
So
that I understand. And to make an allegory like that is interesting.
Yeah. Well, and so this to me, like, so Godzilla is not my favorite. Godzilla's just the most well known, and there's some cool Godzilla flicks, but like, and like some cool like enemies, but
I just know
not
like
my favorite.
Mothra.
Is my favorite.
Bagel-Ra. It's a giant bagel that flies. It has Schmear on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's Gamera. The
no, not that one.
And they didn't have
Grandpa.
Grandpa.
It's just only Grandma. Yeah, they're just old people that bicker.
Okay.
You remember them?
And they just fight.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know these movies. No.
No, so Mothra, which we'll be doing next, Rebirth of Mothra.
We are?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me these things beforehand?
I did tell you these things. So, but we have that coming up next. But Mothra's always been my favorite. And then...
Is it just a giant moth? Is that what Mothra is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But does it fly around? Does it have feet?
Well, it's got little legs.
Okay, little legs. I mean, it has to because of, like, putting someone in a costume.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they fly it around on...
Okay.
It doesn't fight like Godzilla fights. Yeah. You'll see.
Will I?
Yes, you will. Now, originally, when they first made Godzilla, and this is more like talking about the first movie, when they made the first movie, they originally thought about doing it in claymation, like you would see in the older movies and stuff, and they thought like there were some prohibitive things about that, so they were like, fine, we'll just do it like this, and they did the suit.
Yeah.
This movie does use some... It uses three things, actually. There's a good portion of it where they are in suits running around and doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean...
Then there's a portion of it where they are like hand puppets. And those are kind of obvious when all of a sudden they're moving real fast and it just looks like hands fighting.
Okay.
And then they do a scene later on where they use a wind-up toy to be Godzilla.
I don't think they used it that much, did they?
Well, they cut a lot of it out.
Okay.
He was supposed to be walking through the ice. It looked so terrible that they keep showing the one shot of it, like the 1 millisecond of it that looks okay, and then they keep cutting it away, and they keep just doing the same thing.
Before we drop the deuce on this, is one of his enemies Trog?
Trog!
I just thought, I made a, Betty Davis reference earlier. So,
well, yeah, might as well.
So there you go. No, that was Crawford, Joan Crawford, not Betty Davis.
Yes, it was Joan Crawford.
Yeah, sorry about that. There goes my gay card. Okay, let's drop the deuce on the raid. Or right, the raid of
Godzilla Raids Again.
Godzilla Raids Again. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and don't forget, we are proud members.
Oh, we are proud members of the No Phony Podcast Network. A network full of no phonies.
That's correct.
A podcast galore. You name it, we got it. independent awesomeness.
So up until recently, ABCD Bags was the show of the month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
Who's up this month?
Let me check that out for you. And I'm doing that right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right now I think it's still us, but I think Heroes Garage is coming up. As far as
which is great.
Which is a great comic book podcast.
Yeah. So they have great takes on stuff. Actually, I end up catching up on a lot of stuff with them because they have a pretty good perspective on stuff. They keep me up to date on my comics.
That's good.
Yes, it is. So it's Comic Books and Hero podcast. So, you know what? Make sure you do listen to ABCD Bags, but Heroes Garage, go and listen to them as they're blossoming into our podcast of the month.
Okay. You ready to drop the deuce on this?
I am. And so the movie opens, and we see a plane flying out over the ocean. It is piloted.
Plane on the ocean.
So he's looking. It's piloted by Shoichi Sokka, I think is his name. So Shoichi. Shoichi is flying, and he's looking for schools of fish in the ocean from up above, which is brilliant. So he's looking for these fish, and when he sees some, he calls them in back to his company. It's a tuna cannery company in Osaka. They call their fleet of ships over then to go get the tuna. So he's got it down to a science. But he's not the only one out flying around. Also, his partner, Kobayashi. Yeah. Kobayashi's plane is malfunctioning. And basically, he's going in for a crash landing. So Shoichi diverts course to go find him. So you can... And actually, I thought these, like, plane effects were pretty good. Like, you don't usually... You see things with planes, like in movies, they don't look that realistic or don't look...
They were okay to me. They were my least favorite part of it.
Really?
Yeah.
What, like, on the outside of it?
On the outside of it.
I get the ones where it was like the...
when they were flying.
Like later when they fly in formation, it's the tiny little planes, but this was a pretty decent-sized model.
I guess. I mean...
Yeah. Well, anyway, but even I'm talking about like on the inside, like in the cockpit when the actor is in there.
Oh yeah, that was fine.
Yeah, it looked.
But I mean, when they pulled out and the plane was flying, I didn't think that was great.
It looks like it does look like a Gizmonic Institute's model. So some of the other ones are a little bit worse, but anyway, but they land. It's near Watto Island, so it's just a strip of rocks formed by some volcanic eruptions. They find Kobayashi, and he's safe, so they're just waiting a little bit, just around, just to make sure everything's safe. So while they're talking, though, they hear this sound.
Oh, yeah, that sound.
Yes, they hear some sound.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out what it is, and they feel a rumbling, they feel things just smashing around, and they realize... there are two monsters nearby fighting. And so they're like, oh, holy hell.
No, this is like 10 minutes into the movie. I'm like,
yes.
we got Godzilla like 10 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, they do.
Like nowadays, it would take like 30 minutes or 40 minutes to even have that. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, ugh, get on with it.
Yeah.
But this one, like, we kind of saw them. They were in between the cliffs.
Yeah,
but at least that was at least I kind of enjoyed that.
It didn't look like it wasn't super like if it was now that would be the whole focus of the shot and it would be over the top and it'd be smashing around. They do this really you see it from their perspective. So you see just kind of the ends of them up through like the crags of the rocks. And they actually go and find shelter behind some of the rocks. And you see like stuff falling down on them, dust and dirt and, bits of rocks and stuff like that. But the monsters who are continuing to get pissed off and fight one another, they fall off a cliff into the water. So that's their chance. That's Shuichi and Kobayashi's chance to escape. So they're like, let's get out. Let's go. Excuse me. So they go back to the company and they report what they saw to the authorities in Osaka. So they figure out, they're trying to figure out what the other monster is. The one that they didn't recognize. So they figure out as they go through, they figure out it's a monster called Anguirus. And so
Anguirus, that's the country that only has like one person in the Olympics, right?
Yes, that's one of those. The country of Anguirus.
The country of Anguirus.
Well, and he said it was an
Anguirus is a
ankylosaur.
population of 5, and they only have one person skiing.
They said it was an ankylosaur, which is my favorite dinosaur.
It is?
Yes, and so I was a little perturbed at how it was displayed or drawn. That did not look anything like an ankylosaur.
Was. Open the door, get on the floor. Everyone do the dinosaur.
That's very true.
Yeah.
That is very accurate. They say that. That's from this
They
movie.
do. That's from this movie. That's translated. Yes.
Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody.
What was great about that is that I knew that was the band Was What Was.
Yeah.
What? Why do I know that?
I don't know, but that's why I love you for it. So they figure out that's in Anguirus, and then they're like, wait a minute, what the hell? Like, what's up with Godzilla?
Or was not. I don't know what it.
They're like, wait, what's up with Godzilla? Like, we killed Godzilla last year because they used a.
Is this his twin? Like an evil twin? Maybe Godzilla's evil twin?
Well, they said
like has an eye patch or something,
Yeah, they said, we used the oxygen destroyer or whatever to take him out last time. They're like, what the hell's up with this? Like, how'd he come back? Like, they were like, yeah, we saw him vanish and basically get vaporized last time. They're like, what's up with this? And so they determine that it is another Godzilla. So it's just another one of them. So there must be more than one Godzillas out there. So they figured that out. Now they can't figure out why are Anguirus and Godzilla fighting. They said, well, they must have lived around the same time millions of years ago, and they have an East Coast, West Coast beef, and so they are going after each other.
Biggie, Tupac.
Yes. Yeah, Godzilla and Anguirus. It's classic. So there's an archaeologist, Kyohei Yamane, who experienced Godzilla Attacks in 1954. So he's at the meeting.
So this is like a year later, right?
Yeah.
Is this a year later in time frame too for them? Okay.
Yeah. And so he shows them a video. This is where they show the film.
Yeah.
Of the first one. It's got no sound, but it's showing Godzilla Attacks.
Is that from the first movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's some cool effects. Like there's one where like Godzilla's breathing fire or his, nuclear fire or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I like that's fine, but like, why does everyone run so fast and think they're gonna die from Godzilla? It's like when the first zombies came to life.
Well, yeah,
it was like really slow.
But the zombies are the same height and everything as you. Like you got to think if he's that huge. And he's moving like normal speed. He's like really going fast.
I don't know. I don't think he is.
He's moving quickly. It's just that in perspective, he doesn't look like he is.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that kind of like when Willy Wonka goes into the, like, when the room goes small and then it comes back out? And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, it's nothing like that.
Totally like that.
Yeah, no, okay.
So, Kyohei Yamane, the professor, who I swear to God is just reading his script.
Oh, probably.
Like, because he is looking down and saying things, and I was like, is he, like... Can't tell if he's reading or if that was part of his characterization or what, but...
Yeah.
Thought he was reading. Anyway, but they show the video, which is, that's kind of our callback stuff on this one.
Yeah, like exposition.
Callback. Yeah, it's our exposition, just in video form. And they were like, well, what the hell did we do to him last time? Well, first off, he says that Godzilla, the second member of the same species, they were probably both brought to life by the hydrogen bomb, the same one that probably also woke Anguirus, and that there is no way to kill Godzilla, and that the only way that they had before was the oxygen destroyer, which was the weapon they used in the first one. But they said that Daisuke Serizawa, the guy who invented it, is gone.
Now, I've been to parties where people have the oxygen, destroyer. They suck the air right out of the room.
I've been around those people
too. Yeah, right?
But he died, but before he died, he burned the formula to the oxygen destroyer.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Well, they thought they were done with Godzilla.
But, like, for your records, maybe you would want this?
Well, but he was afraid it was going to fall into the wrong hands.
Whatever.
Because they could use that if it could destroy Godzilla, it could definitely destroy other people. So he was trying to do the right thing. He suggests that
trying to keep it from Hydra? I mean,
yeah, Well, so the professor then says, we have some indication that Godzilla, he is attracted to lights because they make him pissed because he thinks about it when the nuclear bomb will come up.
And I'm attracted to Godzilla. Sorry, kind of battling cold.
No, we both are. So he's like, so do this. Go use flares out over the water and you can draw Godzilla away. And so they're like, perfect. So Godzilla arrives in Osaka. So they black out all of the city's lights. They turn off all the lights so nothing is drawing him in. And then the Japanese Air Defense Force, whatever they're called, the JASDF.
Whoa! What? Oh, sorry.
They send their planes out and start firing flares, and they're pulling Godzilla away from the shore, and so he's walking out after them.
Yeah. So,
everybody's having a good time then, so they're happy about that. Meanwhile, while all this is going down, there's a prison truck that's transporting dangerous criminals. And when we first saw this, we were just like, well, this is a weird... it was a weird
transition. I mean, you get them with these movies still. So it's kind of like, kind of tradition to kind of have these characters that are kind of pointless and meaningless.
Well, you think it is. But so there's this truck full of criminals.
No, it is.
They, basically, they have a plan, and they're conveying to each other it's time to escape. And so when the blackout's there, they manage to take out the guards and escape out the back of the truck. So people are running everywhere. The cops are shoot a couple people. Others just managed to.
Yeah, but they didn't know the blackout was going to happen, did they?
Well, they knew it was coming.
Oh, okay.
But also, they signaled to each other, "Hey, this is the time. Let's do it." But a few of them steal a truck and start running away, start driving away, and they're on a high speed. And you see some other people chasing them, and then one of them is Shoichi gets his car basically commandeered by a couple cops, so he's chasing them down with them. They're all driving, and as the criminals are trying to escape, they finally crash their truck. And it's a gasoline truck. They crash it, and massive explosions start going off. And
of course.
And things at the pier start burning. And I actually love this shot because they all were just cheering about Godzilla leaving. And you see like the flares out over the water, and he's just kind of, it looks like he's slowly moving out after them into the ocean. And the explosion happens and all the fires go off. And Godzilla does this kind of like slow turn and looks over his shoulder like, what is that? And then immediately starts turning around and coming back. So now they're in some real trouble. They also figure out that all those flares that they had and everything that was going on also drew in Anguirus. So now they got a monster battle on their hands. So
KAIJU monster battle.
KAIJU. Yeah, so they're fighting.
Player 1, you're a Godzilla.
There was a game that I
Player
loved.
2.
There was a game I loved when I was a kid that was like I think it was Godzilla War of the Monsters or Destroy All Monsters or whatever it was.
Okay.
But it was, you could be all these different Godzilla monsters, and I never had really watched any of those movies at that point. I just knew who he was, and one of them was Mothra, and that's how I fell in love with Mothra. I was like, oh my god, that's like, I figured him out through the game. So
okay.
The monsters start fighting. They're really going at it. There's a few of the criminals who escape into the subway once they see the monsters crashing around. But of course, when they hit the ground, they break open the subway, and basically some of the criminals drown underground in the subway line. They are just...
It's interesting practical effects that they have during these kind of scenes.
Yeah. Well, you have to think of the whole, like, think of a person in one of those suits, and then think of...
I am.
Then think of, like, an entire city they're walking through.
And then think about them singing a karaoke song.
Yeah.
What celebrity do you think they would be? And then they rip the head off, and you're like, oh, it was CeeLo the whole time. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
So, well, when you think about the whole fact that, like, they had to build these entire, like, models of these cities, you know, that you're not going to get another take with.
Like, there's some talent in there. You know what I mean?
No,
especially for 1955.
Yeah. I mean, now it's a lot easier to do certain things.
Right.
But, anyway, so...
All you do is put Andy Serkis in a suit.
Yeah, he just plays everything.
And he plays everything.
Yeah. So they're fighting. It goes on for a little bit. But Godzilla finally bites Anguirus' neck. And so he like really has a hold of him. And that's kind of the death blow. He bites his neck and then throws him into the moat near the Osaka Castle. So the famous landmark, the Osaka Castle. Godzilla then fires its atomic ray at Anguirus and basically starting him on fire. So Anguirus is dead. So starts Anguirus on fire. Also burns down the castle. And also burns down the tuna company.
Right.
The tuna concern.
I think it's called Big Tuna.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Halpert Tuna.
So Kobayashi gets transferred. So they're talking through everything. He gets transferred up to the Hokkaido plant because they need him to take care of stuff, and they have other places But, while they rebuild this one, they need him to go out there. So.
Now, do they assume that, like, Godzilla's dead? Do they just assume that? Or do they just assume
he left.
He left.
He basically was like,
That's what I thought. I was like, they're just leaving him. And I'm like, okay.
And so they figure he's just gone on to do his own thing then. But, like, Shoichi's going to stay.
But we know the timestamp says half the movie.
So Shoichi's going to stay back with his girlfriend, who is like the owner's daughter.
Right.
And so
he's the big tuna.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the big dog. So they're going to stay there. So Tsukioka, or Shoichi, and Hidemi, his girlfriend, come to visit, and they are, well, they come to visit, and so he gets done flying, he comes back in. There's, at some point, I can't remember if it was before, he starts making a joke about getting married. And basically, it's just, they're using it like terminology about him getting married to, like, or getting married is like finding the tuna.
Right.
Finding the fish out there.
Right.
And so...
hitching that big tuna.
Yeah, so they keep doing this joke. And they call him Mr. Groom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, we'll have a toast for sake toast for your wedding or for your nuptials. And, like, the joke just keeps going and going.
Mr. Groom. I mean,
to the point where everybody keeps calling him after that, Mr. Groom.
Mr.
And, like,
Groom.
Everybody. And, like, he just all of a sudden has this nickname.
Don't do that to, like, me, who doesn't really do foreign movies very well. Doesn't do kaiju movies. Now I'm thinking your name is Groom. There's nothing Japanese about Groom.
Well,
I got confused
in Japan.
I got confused.
Yeah, it was. I was like, man, they're getting their mileage out of this joke.
But it's Kobayashi, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
But they were really getting their use out of this joke.
No, they were.
It was
they kept going.
Yeah,
yeah.
And so, he's going along. They go to like a sake palace thing or whatever, and they're having their drinks.
Yeah. A restaurant, sake palace. They're having a party.
Well, there's two parties going on.
There's two parties going on.
One of them is for the company.
I didn't get that. I was
one of them is the company party to celebrate all of this.
Okay.
That they're doing, and so Kobayashi.
They just happen to be at the same place.
Well, they obviously Shoichi knows that they're going to be there because of he works for the same company. So he also invited some of their other friends that were in the area. So they're having a party downstairs too. So Kobayashi is basically running back and forth between the two parties for work and for friends. So
more like Mr. Zoom instead of Mr. Groom.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
They're grooming him for alcoholism. So they're all partying it up. While they're doing that, they get notice that one of their fishing boats has gone missing, and they believe that it's Godzilla related. So they're like, "Oh no, he's still around."
Do they believe that, or do they just automatically? I love how they just automatically went there. It's got to be Godzilla. That's probably that.
No,
it's probably
no, because the fishermen.
Oh no, they were pretty much like it's Godzilla.
Yeah, no, the fisherman said he thought he spotted Godzilla.
He
like
thought
on his radar or whatever.
He thought,
and then he immediately went missing right afterwards.
He thought, and he went missing.
So they're like, "Hey, we got to do something." So the Air Force is going to head out after them. They're going to go out after Godzilla and try to put him down before it causes any more problems. And then Kobayashi and Shoichi are like, "Yeah, us too." So they go with them in their unarmed planes.
Yeah, aren't they drunk?
Well, you know.
Yeah, well,
yeah. So everybody goes after Godzilla. So he's swimming to the shore of a small, like an icy island. He notifies they notify the cannery and Kobayashi, because basically they were helping to basically spread out and look. That's how they got involved with them. Kobayashi and Shoichi were both looking. Shoichi was still out there. Kobayashi had come back to refill when they see it happen. And so Kobayashi rushes back in to take his place. So he goes out there. And so basically they see him walking around. Well, they're trying to get the Navy there or whatever to basically stop him, but they're not. It's not going to work because Godzilla starts turning around and walking the other way. So Godzilla's going to get away. So at that point, Kobayashi realizes he has to do something to stop Godzilla from doing this. So he dives at Godzilla to get his attention and to basically get past him. So he dives at him. Godzilla's just like, nope. And so he fires his atomic ray breath on Kobayashi.
Now, usually if I'm at a party and Godzilla's there, I usually dive like that to get his attention. Hey.
Well, he dives. Actually, I take it back. He dives first. Nothing happens to, like, he's fine.
He's fine.
And then the Air Force drops some bombs on Godzilla.
Yeah, they drop a ton of like bombs on him.
And those are, I love that. Even though I know you didn't
like that effect.
Even though you didn't like the tiny planes, I love that like the bombs fell really well.
I liked the way the bombs fell, and actually liked the way they hit. Sometimes the smoke was awkward, but I liked how that happened.
Yeah.
You know, like there wasn't a pow or a bang that hit the screen. It was you know, the words like Batman, but
but then Kobayashi tries diving again, and when he does that, that's when Godzilla blasts him. To which you and I both were like, Kobayashi! We were so...
I was like,
pissed.
God, you just, like, you killed, like, your hero.
Now, the guy who played Kobayashi, it was... I'm trying to remember what his name was. Minoru Chiaki.
Yeah.
He actually has done a ton of stuff. And he did a lot like Rashomon and Seven Samurai and stuff like that. So, like, he's in a lot of like Kurosawa stuff. And
Kobayashi also he has a line of mugs, like coffee mugs.
Yes, he does.
Kobayashi.
He has a Star Trek maneuver named after him. Kobayashi.
Is that Kobayashi too?
The test, the Kobayashi.
I was just thinking like the usual suspects, like the Kobayashi mug, right? Is that Kobayashi? I don't know. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
So, basically, basically at this point, they are now going after Godzilla hard because Kobayashi's down. They're pissed.
Phrasing.
Oh no, I meant every word of it. So they figure out, like another plane goes by. And
some of the snow from the mountains.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, Kobayashi hits
Kobayashi hitting and dying.
Yes, but the
caused
ice
a little bit of an avalanche,
down,
like ice.
Yeah, slows down Godzilla. He realized.
I think I said, where did he get all that meth from?
It's a weird effect.
It's a weird effect. It doesn't quite look like snow.
Like when the guy is in the suit and the ice is coming down, like. It doesn't just look like white boulders. It looks like ice.
Yeah, it looks like ice.
And so I was like, what? Did they make just giant clear blocks of stuff?
They probably did.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that they would.
And so...
I mean, it didn't quite work.
You didn't think it worked?
Nah, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It was okay, but...
So, they keep shooting missiles at the mountains. And, they start freezing him to death. And so they're causing an avalanche over and over, burying him, and they end up freezing him to death. So the jets fire their missiles, bury Godzilla in the snow up to its midsection. They return to base, and so Tsukioka's flying, or Shoichi's fine. So they find that Godzilla's digging its way out again, even though it's buried up to its midsection. They fire more missiles at the mountain, like as he's trying to get away. They get new avalanches and end up bearing Godzilla up to his neck. Shoichi fires his own missiles, which ends up burying Godzilla completely, and then he is frozen to death. And so then Hidemi and Shoichi live happily ever after. The end.
The end. You've been deuced.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we thought of it. Let's hear what other people thought of it, Jeremy.
Okay.
Shall we?
Yeah.
This reviewer is named Batman Fun Reviews.
Yes.
They give it a 1 out of 10. They say horrible. The world comes to a realization that a monster closely related to the original Godzilla is on the loose, as well as a new monster. Soon the two monsters arrive, or they assume their battle. Will the two monsters destroy everything before they ultimately destroy each other? After the success of the original movie, it was about to happen for a sequel, and oh boy, what a sequel, right? If you love Toho's bad Godzilla movies, perhaps give it a go. But if not, go and watch something else like perhaps King Kong movies. Better choice overall. And I'm like, no. This person is Snakes on an African Plain. Okay. Is their name. And they give it a 7 out of 10. Godzilla doesn't technically raid again. It's a different Godzilla this time. Never to fear, this Godzilla has the same MO and also brings along a pal/enemy. The film moves focus away from the science by giving it the protagonist of the two pilots. These guys are the Japanese equivalent of Maverick and Goose. Best of buddies, flirting with ladies and spotting monsters. After one makes an emergency landing on the island, the buddy comes to rescue where they discover Godzilla in a battle. This manages to be a wonderful and delightful film. So
I agree. Yeah, I don't think this is. And the
I
ones
love
I've
that
seen,
they're like the Japanese, like Top Gun.
Yeah,
I love that.
Well,
and kind of
out of the ones I've seen,
kind of. I mean,
out of the ones I've seen, this is not the favorite of the bunch. I think that there's like a different feel later on, but for something where they're finding their footing with it and kind of creating this genre, I think it does a really good job.
It feels like they're trying and they're trying new tricks.
Yeah,
and they're seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
Yep.
Like a springboard of what might work and what doesn't. And I'm gonna assume, evidently, like towards later on, we kind of push the other characters kind of off and more focus on the fights. Maybe, I don't know. Like the main characters.
From what I've seen, like you end up starting to get more of like so since Godzilla can't talk, you always get the people there who are kind of like assuming what his motivation is for stuff, his or her motivation is for stuff. And so like you get, I think you get more with the fighting. Like the fights become a little bit grander, and the monsters are.
Well, it's crazy. Also like that's what audiences wanted to see. Yeah, I mean, let's face it.
Yeah. But like Godzilla almost ends up having its own motivations. Almost is more like it's almost got this nobility to it a little bit. Godzilla does. But like in this one, Godzilla's going to the town because Godzilla fucking hates light. I mean, that's all it is. He's just an animal, really. It's just that's just kind of how they treat it. But like later on, you will see this like humanity.
And what's a hurricane? What's a tornado? What's all this? They don't have emotion. Yeah. They're just going to someplace.
It's just an animal
to destroy
on a large scale.
Yeah.
But like down the road, like you still have some of that, but then there's also this like humanity to it a little bit, like this kind of gentleness. Like I
thought this movie still had that.
Yeah,
a little bit of it. But but I think we should do our 5 questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of this movie?
Honestly, Kobayashi That actor.
Kobayashi.
Did I say Tobiyashi? Sorry.
Yeah, that's his country singing cousin.
Kobayashi. Sorry. Just a little stuffed still.
Kobayashi Keith.
Yeah, Tobiyashi Keith. Sorry. Kobayashi. The acting in general, even though I don't speak that and I'm reading subtitles.
Yeah.
I think it's decent for a movie like this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad at all.
Yeah.
The plot's a little loose. I mean, but whatever.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, we tack this on over here. We stopped and then we went to a different setting.
Yeah.
I don't quite like that.
Yeah.
But I think I like the acting in this movie.
Yeah.
And a little bit of the practical effects.
Mm-hmm. So I liked, it's so tough for me with like my favorite parts because I like the giant fighting monster pieces. Like that's for me is a pretty much like foregone conclusion. I like that, and I like them dropping the bombs and all that kind of fun stuff. Like I dig that. But I found myself this time going through and watching it, I was really enjoying like I'll tell you where it hit me. It was when they were at the office for the first time. Shuichi had called in and was just like, hey, here's what's going on. Can I give him an update? And the people in the office were just bantering. It was just like something you would see out of any 50s movie where people were just talking. Like we've seen movies that were like, this is classic. This is a great movie. And it was just like that. And like I forget that, and I'm so used to Japanese cinema being more like, I like Kurosawa, so I'm so used to this like almost like historical pieces.
Yeah, like a historic or poetic in a haiku kind of nature versus whatever.
Or thinking of like monster movies like this, or these like kaiju movies. I forget about these like little glimpses of where it was just like, hey, here's everyday life. And everyday life was not that much different from, other cultures that were out there. Things that we're more used to. So even though we saw some pieces where it was a little bit different culturally, it was just this really reminder to me that like we had these similar undertones to all of our, to our cultures.
This movie made it more universal.
Yeah.
No,
I really dug that. And of course I like the monsters and stuff big time, but like that really struck me and I thought it was pretty neat. So, sorry, choked up a little bit.
That's okay.
Would you, let's see, does this make you want to watch the first one?
No, I'm sorry. I don't enjoy these movies very well. I have a hard time with these. I don't know why. I guess if I'm going to be truthfully honest, part of me did because I did kind of like the scenes that they did show from the first movie. If those were from the first movie, then I kind of want to just for the aspect of like practical effects sake, and just for kind of looking at that. Yeah, like I don't necessarily need to enjoy the movie in order to respect the movie. Yeah. So I guess I could watch a movie like that.
Now, did you like they showed?
But like on a personal level, I don't think I would.
No, they showed a little shot in there where Godzilla was like breathing the atomic fire on. It was like power lines, and they showed them curling and melting, and that was just a practical effect. It was a metal.
Oh, I thought he had bad breath.
It was a metal tower.
He didn't have bad breath?
No, well, he has bad breath.
Okay.
But it really melts you. But no, they were, applying heat to that, so you see them melting and curling. I thought that was an amazing effect. But that was from the first movie. So like they did all sorts of cool stuff with that. So part of me wants to watch the first one and just watch them in order and like see how like where they like the focus changes a little bit or like how the characterization evolves and like see how we got from like point A to point Z.
I mean, but I'd have to drink some sake to kind of get through.
That deal. Yeah. You can do that. I wouldn't watch them all like in one sitting, but just like in order.
Okay.
Let me see here. Would you reboot, continue, or cancel?
Well, obviously they keep rebooting this thing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we didn't watch the one, the Bryan Cranston one. We have never seen that.
No, we didn't.
So I can't really judge that.
Right.
People said it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, anything's better than Roland Emmerich.
Oh my God, Roland Emmerich's is terrible.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think there's always room for monster movies.
Will you go see the new one with me?
We have to watch the first one.
The new one?
There's a new one that's not Bryan Cranston, not in the same universe.
Yeah. I don't think it is.
I don't know about this. Why do they keep redoing this? Why? Do they have Mothra? Is it Mothra? Okay, so they're trying to really kind of
Mothra
recapture.
and Ghidorah and I can't remember who else. Rodan.
Okay, so they're trying to recapture the.
Yeah, it's gonna. To me, it looks freaking awesome.
Okay, well,
I'm really stoked for this one. I wasn't for the Bryan Cranston, but for this one, I am.
I wasn't either. I looked at that and I went, ugh, whatever.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, this is another slightly less bad as Rodan.
How about this? Like, I would. I know this is gonna sound weird, but like I would watch it if it was Japanese. If it was a Japanese movie. For some reason, America I hate America's version of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed this better than, of course, Roland Emmerich.
Yeah.
Better than any other. If I'm going to be honest with you, these aren't my favorite movies, but I did enjoy this better than any other. Well, besides, I mean, we do assume that Pacific Rim is a kaiju movie, kind of in a way. Okay, well, besides that movie, there's not really that many of these movies I've seen. And the ones I've seen are really awful.
Some people consider, like... So I did not include King... We're not going to review King Kong, because I don't
even think that is.
But some people consider it. But like the more I read with the definitions of it, I'm just like, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
But later on, King Kong fights Godzilla.
Okay, but that's part of that. But I don't think King Kong itself is.
Yeah,
I think that's BS.
Yeah, agreed.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I want to watch a traditional kind of like a traditional modern version of Godzilla through Japanese lens and not American.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, where were we at on our questions? I lost track.
We said, would you watch the second one?
Okay.
Yeah. Now, does this movie hold on, up on its own?
Oh yeah, does it stand on its own?
I think it does. I don't think you even need. I mean, yeah, I think it does. Don't you? I mean, it's a new monster.
It is a new monster, but they have this thing where they're kind of.
It kind of does. It kind of doesn't, but kind of does.
It kind of doesn't, but kind of does. Like, you don't have to. Like, you can kind of assume what's happening.
I did.
But like, where they're like, wait a minute, didn't we kill Godzilla? Didn't we do this? And they're like, oh yeah, the oxygen destroyer. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? Like I know what's happening because I've seen it.
They tell you, through the film. Yeah. And so it kind of does. I mean, it kind of ties up those loose ends.
It does some, but like they don't explain. Like, there's a lot of stuff that explains like where Godzilla came from originally, and they kind of talk about it again, but not really.
I don't care about that. I would watch the first Godzilla if I want that. You know, but I don't. For this movie, I don't think we need to know where it came from, do we?
I think it's important to the story. Not to the point though where it's like gonna
where it like drives the whole plot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think it kind of doesn't, but it also kind of does. Like, you could get away with it, but it's probably not the best viewing.
Yeah, I agree.
And sum up your experience in 2 words.
Do we have another question?
No.
Oh, okay.
5.
Well, why don't you do that one?
I will say,
I
will say, culture shock.
Those are mine too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, was it? That's so convenient. Why was it yours?
Like, because like I was listening to Boy George, and that's Culture Club.
Yeah.
But when I turned off the radio, I got shocked.
My God, that was exactly what I was going to say. No, I mean, it's... I think it's interesting to me. So we treated these kind of movies in the U.S. like they were low kind of cinema.
That's too bad.
They were with a lot of B-reels. They were with a lot of stuff. But it's interesting to me.
Because they just didn't know where to put them, or they didn't know.
Yeah.
That's what I feel
there's a lot, like in Japanese cinema, where a lot of these movies were important. Like they weren't B-reel stuff. They were features. They were things that people were like using their imagination for. Yeah. And we could have done similar stuff. I mean, we had some movies that we were like, okay, like, I mean, we had Universal Monsters, we had all these other things, but it always just got treated like it was kind of these low pictures. And they really embraced something that was way different. Like, you see a lot of things like that other directors that time were doing, and it's so different, but like the culture still accepted it and embraced it.
Yeah, yeah. Mine would be Flying High.
Okay.
Because Kobayashi, he dies when he hits that mountain. Oops. And then I almost knocked my microphone off. But no, like I was going to say this when we were talking about your favorite thing about the movie, by the way. Can we go back for a second? Yeah. One of my favorite things was the fact that like you have this relationship between what's his bucket and Kobayashi. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Shuichi.
Like, yeah, when like at the end when I did that for you, Kobayashi, kind of in a way, and it's kind of like this bromance that they kind of do have in a way, which is something you don't quite get that often in a movie from 1955.
Yeah,
is like male bonding in that way.
Yeah,
and I kind of enjoyed that. And I kind of enjoyed the fact that like. First of all, I was like, Kobayashi, he's my favorite part of the movie, and you just killed him.
Yeah.
And then the fact that like he was, I'm gonna destroy this monster for my friend.
Yeah.
And then make sure that we're gonna win. Because I don't want his death to be for nothing.
Yeah.
And I think for kind of in Japanese culture too, and I think that it's just so interesting that, I don't know. I found that aspect of the movie kind of endearing in a way. That I didn't get from most monster movies that I get. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
And I kind of like that. So, I mean, is this my favorite movie? Is this my favorite genre? No, but I'm trying to pull something out of it of what I can relate to, what I can do. And I think, that's important when you're watching movies in general.
Nope, I hear you.
So, we dropped the deuce on that one, right?
Yeah, we did.
What else are we doing, Jeremy? We're going to do Mothra Returns.
So yeah, we're doing Rebirth of Mothra.
Oh, I'm sorry. So and now do we get to see the birth of Mothra in the movie?
So the Mothra, like the original series,
is there an afterbirth?
Yes, there is.
Oh, gross.
The original Mothra takes place on Earth. Or it takes place like kind of.
Well, I hope so.
It takes place in this normal kind of thing. Like it's basically a similar kind of story.
Okay.
But it happened around the same time, like in the 50s ish.
Okay.
Down the road, they rebooted Mothra, and it's the rebirth of Mothra, and like Mothra has a new backstory. So that's what this one is.
Oh, so it's not like the same backstory?
No, not completely. No, okay. But I didn't want to do another one that was from like the same year ish.
Yeah, that seems weird.
So I thought, hey, I'll skip forward to this.
Sure,
to this one, and that'll.
What else are we doing?
And then we're doing Pacific Rim Uprising.
So we're doing the second Pacific Rim.
Correct.
Pacific Rim Uprising. With what's his bucket from Star Wars, right? Is in that?
Finn Boyega?
Yeah, I thought so.
Was that his name? Boyega? John Boyega.
John Boyega, not Finn.
Finn is his character.
Finn Boyega?
Finn is his character. John Boyega.
Yeah, I thought he was in that. Maybe I'm just making that up in my head, but
nope.
Whatever.
I think he is.
Let's see. And it's been a while since I saw the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't. As much as I love giant robots and monster fights, like I did not like. The first one was a little tough for me.
It was?
A little bit.
Why?
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know if it was just the mood I was in or whatever, but like, it was almost like they were trying to make it the movie, and then it did not. Like they were trying to make it something that was already there, try to fit it in a mold, and it just missed the mark a little bit. But I only saw it the once.
Yeah, I mean,
so maybe just need to try it again.
Yeah, I'll put that circle, maybe circle and a square, make it the shape of water. Who knows? You know. So there you go. I don't know what I'm talking about. But people can find us at Podbean and Stitcher.
TheDeucePodcast.podbean.com.
TheDeucePodcast.podbean.com. Where else?
Apple or on iTunes.
iTunes.
Yeah. Google Play, Stitcher.
Stitcher. I said Stitcher.
Yeah. You can find us through at nophonynetwork.com.
You can.
As well as all of our other podcast
Check out all of them.
I
challenge you. I challenge you.
Yep. You can get us at, you can find us on Twitter. We are Deuce Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook on our page.
The Deuces Podcast or the Deuce Podcast?
The Deuce.
The Deuce Podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember. Okay. Well, remember, folks, the sequel is king.